What up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Source and Company. I'm your host, Source, of course. As always, you can follow me on Instagram, TikTok at Source, of course, and follow the podcast on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. That is Source, of course. Season 2, episode 1. Let's get into it. My man is busy, so let's get into it real quick. As you already know, if you're a hip hop fan, you see who it is. Co-host, I like to call him the other host of the most popular hip hop podcast on the planet, Drink Champs. He is also part of the creation team of the show, Crazy Hood Productions. He's got a list of accolades that we can go through and we might touch on. But let's get into it. Today's company, DJ EFN. What's good, bro?
What's good, Source? Thanks for having me, man.
Absolutely, absolutely. First question off rip. How's your liver, bro? How's your liver?
That's funny. That's a good one. That's a real question, actually.
Yeah.
My liver's good as of right now. Make sure that one of the things that we do advocate for on the show, off the show, is balance. Especially as we've been getting older. The show was conceived, I would say it started 6 years ago, but we were doing a different iteration of it going back as far as 12, 15 years ago.
Wow.
And in those younger days of mine and my crew and NORE being around us here in Miami, big drinkers, that was my thing. We were big into drinking, being in the studio and drinking. So, as I've gotten older and I've gotten, my regular checkups, I started, now that I have children, my health is important, so, and the other thing too is that I hope we can get across in some ways to the audience is we're not advocating for people to drink necessarily, even though that's the way it comes off.
Right.
It's really about having these conversations that we were having behind the scenes over drinks, over smoking, over whatever. These were the conversations that were happening. We were trying to bring those type of conversations to the forefront.
Absolutely. And that's what we do. I mean, even on a smaller platform or just in life, that's what we do. People go to the bar with a friend and they spill whatever they spill.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's good to hear. That's good to hear. You mentioned fatherhood. So let's touch on the Fatherhoods podcast that you have. I thought it was a dope idea. I wish I would have thought of it. But just having men who are fathers having conversations and around hip hop as well, I love it. I love to see it. I chime in on Instagram every once in a while on the clips. But where did that idea start?
Well, I got into my fatherhood journey later than most of my friends. In my late 30s, my first was born. Actually, I'm lying. In my 40s or in my early 40s, and I'm 47 now, and I have two young children.
You got some babies.
I got a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. And so, but I've always been like, I always wanted to be a father. I just knew that with the career path that I chose and wanting certain kind of stability and even maturity, I knew I wasn't ready. And so, I backed off on trying to have that early on. And so when I finally did, some like-minded friends of mine, shout out to KGB, shout out to my homie Manny Digital, their fathers, and we're like, yo, what do we think is missing in the space? And we think, man, these conversations of basically hip-hop fathers, hip-hop fathers have gotten a bad rap. And so we're looked at as either deadbeat dads or whatever. It was never highlighted until recent times, not just because of a lot of people have been highlighting it in recent years, where people were used to be afraid of even saying they were a parent, or saying they were in a relationship. People that, like entertainment business, you kind of hide that stuff.
Yep.
And so that's where the idea of fatherhoods, Crazy Hood, fatherhoods, we just play on words, but it was about having these conversations with other people in the industry, other people in the culture, and seeing how they were balancing what they do and parenting, and how we could just all kind of like come together and discuss these things and open up about these things.
I mentioned it, you probably didn't see it, tell you the truth. But I had interviewed Wordsworth last March.
Shout out to Wordsworth, dope dude.
Yeah. And I was talking to him about his story because he still does work, but he is also a teacher now, and he's actually in Florida.
I didn't
And
know he was in Florida.
yeah, he's in Florida, and he teaches at his daughter's school
That's
because
dope.
they needed it. If you need a guest, I'm just throwing it out there. Wordsworth has a great story, and it's dope. So, and you already know he has a story.
Yeah,
If it's
yeah.
not Drink Champs, ready, even though Skills was on there. But if it's not Drink
Right.
Champs, Fatherhoods would be a
For
nice spot.
sure.
I'm thinking.
For sure.
Uh,
Absolutely.
but yeah, so about Drink Champs, which is the glue to this whole thing. Actually, you are the glue to the show. You keep
Appreciate that.
things going, even when NORE tries to stop them at an uncomfortable place.
Right.
First of all, I will say, you probably don't remember, but back in my Twitter days, I wrote an article about the podcast. And I mentioned that NORE is the absolute worst interviewer and the best interviewer
Right.
at the exact same time. And you said, yes, that is exactly what it is.
Right.
How do you keep things going in the right direction when NORE is like all over the place?
I mean, I don't actively try to do anything specific. I understood our yin and yang. I understood that two Noris weren't going to make a good show.
Yeah.
I can be a talker. I'm Cuban. I could be loud and boisterous. I could do a lot of things, which I do sometimes on the show at some point, but I knew that two of that wasn't going to work. And NORE is NORE, and so I wanted to be basically his Ed McMahon to Johnny Carson in a way, and allow him to do what he does, but then make sure that I can help steer the ship and highlight things that maybe are being overlooked and do my best in that. But one thing I try to get across, or I think that the audience misses sometimes when they do get mad at the interview style is, and even though NORE might say interview or NORE might say journalism, first of all, we're not journalists. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that's fair to real journalists to say we are. And second of all, I don't consider it an interview show. I consider it a show, like I told you, where we sit down and have conversations over drinks, and wherever that takes us, it takes us. It's an organic conversation, the way you would have it with your boys, where you're cutting each other off, you're talking loud, you're saying crazy stuff, you're going off topic, and we're just turning on the cameras for that.
Right.
So it's not an interview show in that sense.
Got you. Well, like I said, NORE's both I say the worst and the best at the same time, because even when he goes off the rails or says something wild that's off topic or whatever the case may be, he is the only person that I watch and listen to regularly that will pinpoint a question that's so off, but it's perfect for the person to go in on. And people kind of open up when they hear those off the wall questions. I've seen it a million times, and I know you have seen it as well. Do you ever feel like you have to take a back seat? Before you answer that, I look at it two ways. I look at NORE as being the MC, you being the DJ naturally, so it's already that relationship.
Yes, absolutely.
And I also look at it as if it was like, let's say, Outkast or Tribe. You got Andre, who's all over the place, Big Boy's grounded. Q-Tip, who's all over the place, Phife is grounded. NORE is all over the place, you're grounded. So I feel like it's that relationship as well. Do you ever feel like it's not enough appreciation for the work that you do?
I mean, look, I'm human. I might feel that every once in a blue moon, but I understand what we're doing, how we're doing it. And like you said, I did come into this with the DJ MC mentality. I came into this with NORE being who NORE is. You know what I'm saying? He's a veteran. He's world renowned. Like, I was known locally more in Miami than I was nationally or internationally. I mean, I had my things here and there, but that's how we came in. But we always came in with that Eric B and Rakim of podcast mentality. And I'm gonna let him do his thing. And like I said, I'm gonna steer the boat from behind. So I don't really worry about that stuff. And I'm confident in what I do, in terms of the idea of even creating the show. So it doesn't really bother me that much. But like I said, I'm a human. There might be a day that I might see a tweet or a comment that digs under my skin as any other human being in the world. But for the most part, 99.9% of the time, I'm very confident in what we're doing and how we're doing it.
Word. How did it treat y'all, man? How's Revolt treat y'all?
Yo, I can't complain, man. I mean, it's crazy because my documentary films that I do as well started on Revolt, when they launched the network way before Drink Champs, several years before, a couple years before, and then that helped kind of lock in that deal for Drink Champs. I mean, besides the fact that there was a relationship on NORE and Puff's side,
Right.
and then I had worked the street teams. I was running the street teams for everything Bad Boy, Ciroc, Sean John in South Florida. So I had that relationship as well. So it kind of all culminated in this thing where we did this deal with Revolt, and they've been great partners. I can't even front. And that's television and YouTube. And then we have all these other partners that we've had throughout the years in the past 6 years, which have been our audio partners, which right now it's iHeart and Charlemagne the God with Black Effect podcast network.
You were talking about Coming Home, right? Your show Coming Home.
Mm-hmm.
And that the purpose of the show was you showing hip hop in different countries. Is that right?
That's maybe not. That's not exactly the purpose. The purpose, I guess you could say that. The way that I describe it is we're exploring different countries through the scope of hip hop.
Gotcha.
Hip hop is our tour guide when we get there. We're finding our counterparts, our peers, on the streets, and letting them take us around and showing us through their lens, through the scope of hip hop.
I saw when Hakeem Green interviewed you early in the pandemic, early in the quarantine, and you all were talking about that. Then I went and watched an episode. I think we went to Cuba.
Mm-hmm. That was the first one, right?
That was the first one. Okay. Yeah, that was dope. Are you getting back to that? I know, even if you were doing it, I know quarantine and pandemic kind of put a kibosh on that thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, we had filmed 2 new ones before quarantine happened and all the COVID stuff hit. Like literally right before it, we went to South Africa. Oh. And so I had set out to do 6 independent films, and I completed the 6. Revolt had licensed the 4 previous ones, and then I partnered up with LL and Rock the Bells, where LL just saw the vision of what I was trying to do, because there was people that were interested, but they wanted to pervert what I was doing. Oh, we got to bring this celebrity with you and do this. And I was like, nah, if we bring celebrities, the celebrities is the hood we go into. It's the MCs, the B-boys, the DJs, the B-girls, the graffiti art. That's the celebrities. And if we bring a celebrity, you ruin that. Yeah. Because now it's like, it's all about this person. So, LL saw the vision, Rock the Bells. And then I was able to come back to Revolt, and we reestablished the relationship. Now it's Rock the Bells, Revolt, me. We just re-released all 6 episodes. The 2 new ones is Colombia and South Africa just aired a couple weeks ago on Revolt TV, and they're available for streaming on their app and on demand if you have Revolt on your cable network. That is fire. So Rock the Bells and Revolt coming together. That's dope. Yeah, that's dope. I did not know that. Oh, I gotta ask about the tears that I shed. I didn't literally cry, but I felt like crying after on Wednesday I watched that hilarious trailer for Dave Chappelle and Black Star and Donnell Rawlings. Dog, I have a nice little following on TikTok, small following on TikTok. Right. But I posted the clip and they went crazy. They was like, I can't wait. It's Friday. I can't wait. Right. Friday, nothing happens. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I'm like, what's going on? Then I saw that that Dave was like, I don't know if this is the right climate for this material, something to that effect. Right. Well, so there was an article that came out. And Dave's people say that didn't come from them. So we don't know about that article that I think was Page 6 that posted it. And it had some false information about Dave paying for us to go to Ohio. That was all false. Wow. That was, Revolt and ourselves, we got there. So what ended up happening is we actually filmed the same week as that school mass shooting. It was like days before it, but when we were going to release it, it was right around that climate. And yeah, Dave just felt, and his team felt it was inappropriate at that moment to make it seem like we were having fun and jokes. Because, people don't realize you might have filmed a week before or days before. If it comes out right when that happened, they think it just happened. Mm-hmm. So they were just like, let's just hold off. And then there were, he had the stuff that happened to him with he got attacked on stage. Yeah. Oh yeah. True. And Dave, he's off the cuff. He was going in like, so his team is like, yo, we gotta, there's certain things that, legally, we got to be careful because he's dealing with that on another side. And so they just it's slowed down. It's gonna come out. That I can guarantee you.
Okay.
Yeah. What version of it comes out, I can't tell you.
Okay.
But it's gonna come out, and what he's saying to us is like, whatever happens, we're gonna do another one too. But I could tell you the experience was, one for the books. One I could tell my grandchildren about. Like, it was just an experience, and Dave was such a great host because we did it in his his town, and he rolled out the red carpet for us, and we did it in his little man cave that he got where he does his podcast and we had Black Star, we had Mos Def and Talib. Like, come on, Mos Def doesn't come out every day to do interviews.
Exactly.
And Mos Def, that was all about them. Really, it was just Dave was hosting all of us to do a Black Star episode, and he jumped in it. And it was amazing, man. It was incredible.
I know it was. I was rocking that Black Star. Actually, I'm big on Black Star since the first album. So we were definitely waiting for this joint to come out. Speaking of artists, are you a Versus guy at all?
Like watching Versus?
Yeah. Do you?
Yeah. I mean, I watch the ones that I'm into. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I was curious, because I am a Versus junkie. Like, I know Fat Joe is like the biggest Versus supporter on the planet to me that I've seen. I'm number 2. If it's possible, I'm number 2. I love Versus. And I have been thinking about how there's nobody to match up with Busta, and there's nobody to match up with L. To me, there's not a clear good matchup for either of them. But I've come up with 2 names I'm throwing at you, and you tell me if it sounds reasonable or if you have a better thought.
Okay.
So Busta, it's hard to match his energy. If Snoop or even Luda had not gone already, I would have said one of those 2 would probably be the closest thing. Missy's not going to do it. So why not Busta, Q-Tip? I still want Tribe, personally. I still want Tribe. But I feel like Tribe, I don't know if Tribe is going to happen, but I think Q-Tip could happen easier than Tribe, and Busta and Q-Tip, because they're going to share the same energy. They're already brothers. It's going to be love.
In that aspect, I can see what you're saying. Which really, that's what Versus kind of started on, which it was never supposed to be like a beef or a competition per se. It was just showcasing 2 people and kind of showing love to each other. Right. And it kind of went off the rails in a couple of the verses. I mean, when you first saying it, I don't see it just because of the energy that Busta brings. I feel like, Tip is just so smooth that I couldn't see it in that way. But if it came across as, like a Native Tongues thing where they're both showcasing kind of like all of Tribe, Busta Rhymes, and then Native Tongue kind of comes into it, that would be dope. Yeah. That would be dope. But we were saying we thought Missy and Busta would have been amazing. Luda would have been a good one for him as well. We say a lot of people say Busta and Eminem.
I just had this argument yesterday, and I did a whole series where I don't know, maybe it's me. I am of the mindset that, and I know hip hop is Black, but hip hop is multicultural, multiracial, multi-ethnicity. Versus is Black. Like Versus feels Black. Right. So my argument is with people that are usually white, because they really believe that Eminem on a Versus is going to smash anybody. And I'm like, I don't see it. Do you think that's a good matchup, Busta and M?
I think it could be. I don't know, man. I mean, I do feel that energy-wise, M could, because M has those weird, the way his voice pitching, his antics. Like, I think that's a matchup for Bust's energy. But you're right. What you're saying, from what you're, I mean, not so, well. You're right. The thing is, you're right. What you're saying is correct. It might not translate on Versus. Right. You're 100% correct. And there's not enough records that could translate for M. There's not enough of those. You know what I'm saying? Yes. That could go up against Bust. So I think you are right. I hadn't thought of it that way, but you're right. You're right.
Thank you. Maybe they will believe you, but they surely don't believe me. They are on my neck about Eminem and being able to. I'm like, dog, it's not the same thing. They even had the Jay-Z and Eminem argument a while back, and I'm like, Jay-Z is too
But
much.
for verses,
Yeah, I'm like,
no.
first, Jay is never going to do it. One, that's never going to happen. Two,
Yeah, it's not gonna happen.
this man's catalog is too heavy. It's too heavy. It's too heavy. Oh man. Oh, back to your show, of course. I've seen some moments that looked contentious, I guess.
Right.
Looks like it could have gone left.
For sure.
Has there ever been, or what is you can think of one off the top of your head, what was the most uncomfortable moment? Before you answer that, was the Wale moment, was that real? It felt oddly real. It felt odd, but it felt real.
Okay. No, at the end of the episode, everybody, it was all good, right?
Right.
There was nothing. It was all fun and games or whatever. Now, I tend to like I'll do the episode. I don't go back and watch what we do.
Gotcha.
I leave it in that moment, and because I'm drinking, there is a like I kind of lapse in memory of what happened necessarily. I'll remember highlights of what happened, and our editors will consult with them on certain things if there needs to be edited, but I don't go back and watch it. And then that clip came around recently again of what happened. Yeah. And I remember I was talking about it back then, but I thought it was more of like, it was fun. It was something that we were just playing with and we were being funny. But looking at the clip and just looking at myself and knowing how everything went, yeah. I was like, there was a moment of realness.
Gotcha.
A moment. But for the most part, I took it as, I think Wale came in to play the game. He had a prior little some with NORE. It wasn't that serious, but he had a score to settle with NORE. And he came in to get NORE drunk quick, him stay sober enough so that he could like out strategize NORE on Drink Champs. And then, and then we started talking crazy. And then I kind of was trying to let him know, like, yo, I'm here too. Like, I ain't gonna let nothing happen.
Right. Yeah, but that was the thing that got me, because I was like, oh, you got EFN riled up a little bit. I saw it. Okay. I thought it was real, but was there anything else that was like an uncomfortable moment that maybe didn't show? Obviously you're not going to tell us so much, because if it didn't show, it didn't show.
Right. I mean, I think this one showed, and it's uncomfortable to me if I know that the person has a problem, like Lamar Odom, when we had him on.
Yeah.
That was uncomfortable to me. And to everybody that watched that, knowing the past that he had. Again, sometimes we'll get attacked, not attacked, but people will criticize us, with the substance, anybody has substance abuse and us bringing liquor around them or smoke around them. And I understand that wholeheartedly, but at the end of the day, everybody's an adult. Everybody makes their own choices. Nobody forces anybody to come on the show.
Right.
And then the other thing too with Lamar is that he had a whole entourage of adults with him that at any given moment, if they felt that something was wrong, could have stopped it. I actually did try to stop it at one moment in the episode. If you watch it, I was like, I think, like, NORE, let's just stop.
Yeah.
Offering liquor, but that was a little uncomfortable for us, and afterwards we made sure that he was good and all that.
Fair enough. I'm not gonna hold you much longer, but I don't even know if I should just bring this up, because I don't want this to turn bad. So let's skip that. Let's talk about my guy, Mad Skills. Skills, I know Skills personally, because I'm from Richmond, by the way. So you don't know that.
Skills is dope, man.
Yeah, and I think he was I feel like he was surprised that you approached him. Well, in his words, you approached him. You were at a show that he was doing, and
I don't quite remember.
Mentioned something. I was surprised.
No, you know what it was? Sorry. He was in Miami, spinning, and I heard he was gonna be there. And after a Drink Champs recording, it was like down the block, and I went over there just to say what up to him, and I told him, I want you on Drink Champs.
I found that to be, as much as I love Skills, and probably even from the city to across the country, I don't think people realize the level of work that Skills has done over the years. And they just think of Skills as the punchline rapper or the year-end wrap-up guy. But right. He's way more than that. What was it about his career in particular that made you like drew you to him as a person that could be on Drink Champs?
I won't say it was specifically his career that you know came at me that I wanted him on Drink Champs. It's people like him that I revere from the culture. It's people that I was putting on my mixtapes,
right,
that I thought were dope. And to me is really the why we started Drink Champs, to give a platform to people who didn't have a platform currently, because the current, you know, with radio or whatever, the current platforms were only showcasing what's now, what's new, what's hot, what's young. And we wanted to kind of basically give the flowers to those we either came up with or those that pioneered, you know, and et cetera, et cetera. So to me, Skills was one of those people that I always thought he was dope. Right. He was one of the illest, you know, and I met him back in the days at a convention and got some drops from him, and that was amazing to me by itself. And there was other artists like him, but he's of that lineage that I feel needs to be showcased on Drink Champs more, and why we started Drink Champs.
I thought it was weird because, you know, I feel that, and I totally agree, and I appreciate y'all for doing that, because it's not like anybody else was going to do it, especially at the level that y'all have done it from the beginning. From the beginning, right. It's been a big deal to me because it's people that I care about, I want to see. And oddly enough, my TikTok following is kind of in that same vein, because we mentioned artists that you don't hear about on a regular basis, or some people like, oh, I forgot about blah, 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 you know? Right. So they love to bring them up, talk about them, hear old songs, etc. But I thought it was odd when Irv, I believe it was Irv, said, y'all need to get younger people on here. And I love the way that y'all responded, like, this ain't for younger people. Younger people have a platform. This is for the people that have been around. Because all this is new, because, you know, hip hop, what, 49 years old?
Right.
So everything that's happening, from artists being 50 and 50 plus to having people older than those artists who are still considered hip hop, we've never seen that before. Even though rock and roll has done it for years. We've never had that option, because we're just getting there.
And just to say, we're not against having anybody, younger artists or anybody on the show. And we've had different people on the show. It's just that our show is home to the folks from our generation and before us, and people that we feel and that deserve their flowers and respect for what they've contributed to the culture or to the industry, which to me are two different things that, you know, if in the middle would make the best, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I ain't gonna hold you much longer, man. Actually, I'm not gonna hold you any longer. I appreciate you taking the time to join me and have this conversation. I love hip hop. So, and I know you love hip hop, whether it's underground, best radio song ever, whatever, and everything in between. I know you appreciate it. So that's why I wanted to talk to you, and I appreciate your time. Any last words?
No, man, just thanks for having me. I appreciate your time as well, and I'm glad we were able to get it done.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, y'all, DJ EFN, Source, out here.
Peace.